My name is Tim Robertson, and this video is about branding for nonprofit organizations. All too often, nonprofit organizations undertake a branding program that does not deliver value. There's a general misunderstanding as to what branding is and what it represents, and this plays out in the process that follows. A new logo and name is designed, a new tagline or market positioning statement is formulated that reflects a new direction, new signage, online presence, and print materials are created, all at great expense. The parties involved may even sit down and come up with some useful values to, quote, promote, unquote. The new brand is announced to the staff and the public. Some staff members embrace the new brand, some do not like it, and the public may even be confused by a new name or logo treatment. Anything new is usually met with resistance, especially if there's a history and familiarity with the symbols and messaging prior to the change. I have three major objections to this process. Number one, it puts an enormous amount of emphasis on the logo and the name. Unfortunately, most people think that the logo is the brand, so this may seem logical at the time. Two, the values of the nonprofit are seen as a marketing tool. And three, the staff is usually not involved in the branding process. I'm now going to tell you about a nonprofit branding approach which puts values first. It's called values-based branding. The inherent values of your nonprofit organization are at the heart of this process. The process has 4 steps. Number 1, discovering the core brand values of your nonprofit or acknowledging the ones that are already there. 2, articulating the brand promise. 3, describing the brand personality, which is a tool for your staff. 4, developing the brand iconography, which is the logo, name, look and feel, and other aspects of brand identification. Let's start with discovering core values. It's important to discover what values people are actively committed to in your organization in the present. This process engages management and staff in a way that encourages participation in any branding initiative. When people have an opportunity to express the values they feel are important, they are more likely to support the values that you ultimately choose as the primary core values of the brand. The core brand values, in many cases, are values that are already being expressed by the staff and management. It's just possible they may not have been acknowledged or articulated. Ultimately, the core values that make up an organization are the values it shows a demonstrated, ongoing commitment to. Now we'll talk about articulating the brand promise. The brand promise tells your staff, your client base, and the public what your nonprofit is committed to on a day-to-day basis. This is not a guarantee, but rather a concise expression of what your organization is all about. For an example, we all know that our FedEx package will get there on time. This brand promise defines the organization in a way no other statement can. It defines what FedEx is ultimately committed to day in and day out. The brand promise for a nonprofit may not be as concise as the FedEx example. It can, however, be concise and accurate enough to reflect what your nonprofit is committed to. So the questions to ask are, what does your organization consistently deliver on? And what can your organization be counted on for? The brand promise can also educate and position your nonprofit brand in a more powerful and relevant context if necessary. Next is describing the brand personality. The brand personality is a useful tool to help your staff and your communication partners express the brand through various media. Describing the brand as a certain type of personality humanizes the voice staff members use when making presentations, creating printed materials, issuing news releases, and messaging online. This is especially useful in large nonprofits as opposed to smaller organizations. Finally, we have developing the brand iconography. So once the core values have been established, a brand promise has been articulated, and a brand personality described, the name, logo, look and feel of printed materials, online activities, signage, color usage, and any other media your organization chooses to communicate in can be developed or improved upon. We feel that in any branding exercise, it is essential to consider the potency of brand equity. By brand equity, I mean the amount of history and relevance the current brand name and logo may or may not have already. We will recommend and suggest a new name and logo only when there is merit to the exercise. Sometimes a modification of the current name and logo is the most effective way to reposition and enhance a nonprofit brand. I hope you got some value out of this presentation, and please feel free to post your comments in the blog or visit our website at www.robertsonandpartners.com for some relevant case studies in nonprofit branding.